Hi, Paras. Thank you so much for agreeing to come grace this fireside chat, so that after reading the case study by all the students, they would be able to reflect and understand how Honey Twigs was able to build a great value proposition. So thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for having me, Onkar.
Lovely. So, all across the case, we've been studying about how did Honey Twigs build a very lean and specific value proposition. I want to start off right off the bat by asking that what were the key differentiators, according to you, that helped elevate the entire value proposition for Honey Twigs as compared to any other competitor in the market?
So I think the biggest thing was that we were looking at a challenge that customers were facing. So for example, traditionally when people tried to have or use honey, it was available in bottles or jars, right? And our first thing, and as we talk more, I'll share about this, that everything came from a personal experience. It was the ability to eat healthy, that we wanted to promote, where the concept really started. So for us, one of the key differentiators here was to make sure that we were providing a mess-free solution, which allows customers to use honey as an alternative to sugar. Second was portability. Honey traditionally is not portable. It's something that you find on the shelf at home. So with Honey Twigs, we made sure that people could use honey on the go. And then lastly, and something we pride ourselves on, is the quality of honey and infusions that we've brought to life. When you think about what you use every morning, a lot of people use honey, warm water, honey, lemon. Yeah. Now, to bring that use case to life is something where we differentiate ourselves very heavily. We're not trying to just say, hey, honey, use honey, use honey, use honey. We're saying, hey, we're looking at how you're using it every day, and let us make that easier for you for consumption.
Got it. Perfect. This becomes a very lean and a very great value proposition. The honey market was fairly crowded, but I think Honey Twigs actually, by including the value proposition as portability, actually started making its mark over there. Subsequently, I want to ask the follow-up question that, when we are looking at honey, it's typically looked as a B2C product. But can you also speak about a surprising sweet segment that actually opened up to Honey Twigs, which was the B2B, the blue ocean strategy at play over there? That how did Honey Twigs also started getting into the B2B market?
That's a great question, Omkar. So like most consumer businesses, we start thinking about, who our customer on the B2C side was. And all our work initially was towards that. To us, thankfully, it came as somebody who found our product and came to us and said, hey, have you thought about this? And so when you think about B2B today, you go to a hotel, you go to a cafe, many times you'll see those 28-gram jars or a blister pack, right? And most times a consumer, out of our research and other public research that we've seen, it uses a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons at max. So the rest was actually going to waste. And this individual, whose identity I'll keep away for now, but used to work for one of the largest cafe chains in India.
Yeah.
Right? Met us at a fair, at a pallet market, and said, I've been looking for a solution to give something that reduces wastage to my customers on everyday use. So that was our discovery into B2B. We've taken that use case and applied that across multiple B2B segments. So look at hotels. Hotels would have cafes, but also in-room dining. So keeping that jar at the in-room dining means, again, that wastage is reduced. Breakage was a big problem as well. So when you think about, tons of glass jars being transported together, there is a larger likelihood of damage. And with our Twigs, we also reduce that for this segment. And over time, we've gone into our whole sustainability mission, which made us more appealing to this audience too. So while B2C values that, the B2B customer puts a notch higher on that for us as well.
Okay, got it. Interesting, right? Now I want you to come back a little bit to the B2C space because I think that's where the journey of Honey Twig started. Can you highlight the various segments or the customer personas, what you have at Honey Twig, and tell me whether the value proposition changes from a customer persona to a different customer persona?
Sure. So let me start with sharing the two key target audiences that we're after first. The first one, who we refer to as the healthy moms. These are young mothers who are trying to make sure that their kids have healthier lifestyles. So they're trying to replace sugar in their kids' everyday diet. Now, honey traditionally would be seen as a medicinal product.
Yeah.
To make honey fun was something that we were very focused on. So for kids, when you give them different flavors, and we're working on some new innovations in that segment as well. But those flavors make it a bit more appealing, and the fact that it's a single sachet looks a bit more fun for them because they can see what's inside too. So one audience very clearly that we defined was the healthy moms. The second that we call as health enthusiasts. Now this is slightly broader as a segment. These are people that by themselves or for their families are trying to lead healthier lifestyles, want to replace sugar, are exercising, are looking at, what they eat more consciously. So these two personas would be largely that we go after, and majority of them would be based in tier 1, tier 2 cities. We are also an international brand, so we look at segments globally. Being present in 6 countries, we have segmentations in each of those countries as well.
Got it. Interesting. I want you now to take a little bit in the early days of Honey Twigs, where you were testing and building the product and building the value proposition out. Over here, can you narrate the incident or a milestone which made you realize that Honey Twigs has found a product market fit, that there is a market for different flavored honeys in a portable manner, and there's a big market brewing for that?
Sure, that's quite a loaded question. So I think our discovery happened over multiple phases. At first, when we started off, it began from, like I said, from our personal experience. So mine and my co-founders' lifestyle at that point were extremely hectic, erratic in terms of our eating habits. And I still remember it was at a cafe in Delhi where we were sitting down and talking about how both of us are foodies. And we were sort of thinking, what can we do? Because the amount of sugar consumption was extremely high in our everyday life. So what could we do to sort of reduce that? And that's why my co-founder's university dissertation was around a honey cafe. Wow. And we said, honey is a great alternative to sugar, but today it's not available in the most easiest of use forms. So the first discovery happened in our own personal experience at that stage, because we really felt that if someone gave me honey instead of sugar today on this table, I would use that proactively. Second happened when, and which is where a lot of our infusions come to life from. When we gave a lot of samples to customers to try and understand, and we're a very consumer first business. So every year we give out, at least about 2,000 odd samples to ask customers, one, how do they use it? Where do they use it? And would they like us to change anything? So as COVID was kicking off, most customers were focusing a lot more on immunity than ever before. And for them, it was about, I use turmeric with honey every morning for my family. I use lemon with honey every morning for my weight control. So we started looking at health benefits more actively because of the feedback that we were getting. And each of our infusions evolved. So, we were not a company that had 20 products in our portfolio at start. We started with one variant, and with every stage of discovery with customers telling us how they use it, both me and my co-founder, we spend a lot of time talking to customers. Even today, if you're ordering from our website, 1 in every 10 customers would get a call from us.
Nice.
So we try and keep at the heart of, the heart of the innovation is our conversations with our customers.
God, brilliant. I really like this approach of being customer first and getting that product market fit over a phases. A really
And
interesting.
one more thing, if I can add,
Yeah, definitely.
when it came to product market fit,
Yeah.
there were two instances also from a B2B perspective that really opened our eyes to a much broader segment that we could look at.
Okay.
Funnily, it was a friend of mine who took a picture of somebody using honey twigs on an airline on an aircraft
Nice.
with their green tea, which is where we opened up. We spoke to a couple of airlines, and they were, they were gung-ho about the concept, so they really took us on board immediately. So that was another segment of B2B that opened up because of an experience or someone sharing a use case with us. And then lastly was around a lot of running and health communities. So running and biking in particular. So a lot of them are looking at on-the-go energy. And we realized that several of our customers were using it when they were biking in their pouches that they were carrying with them. And they wrote this in a lot of their reviews that they were sending us. So again, a use case that wasn't pre-imagined, but something that came to life by looking at what people were saying.
Nice. This is great. The last question, what I want to ask you is that all throughout the case, one highlight of honey twigs was the quality of honey offered, right? There's a lot of adulteration in the market of honey. A lot of times honey is sold in different forms. How did quality become a differentiator in the proposition of honey twigs across the journey of building it?
So look, being completely honest with you, honey is today a commodity in India, right? So a lot of people will look at it only for the price and not as much for the quality.
Correct.
For us, it was critical that we were trying to bring a product to market that we would use every day.
Yeah.
So it really started with saying, will I consume what I said? And so quality as such, even when we did our initial research before we launched the brand, was one of the 3 parameters that every customer spoke about. So the 3 things people said that they had challenges with honey when we were kicking off. One was the mess with honey. Second was the portability, and third, which was probably mentioned by the largest number of them, was everyone talks about pure. What does purity really mean?
Yeah.
And we set ourselves out on that mission at that point, saying, okay, we want to make this simple, right? Our value proposition will be clear, because we then started working directly with the source. So for us to invest that effort to say, we want to know where every batch of honey is coming from every farm, to what happens in that process of filtration or, at that stage in the middle, to bring that into the packaging unit. So we looked at all of those parameters and we said, what are the gaps or what are the aspects that consumers don't know today about? Right? So first, at source, there was a lot of misconception around antibiotics. So we said, okay, let's hit the head, let's hit the nail on the head here. We said all honey that we bring to market will be antibiotic free. So every batch since inception is tested. We have controlled samples. A customer can write to us at any stage, say, here's a batch number, can you give me the report? Right? So we would be able to give that to them from that source.
Got it.
So, it was about confidence in what people could use every day. It was about confidence that they could buy a product without thinking, oh, is this going to get, caught up in the conversation of adulteration too?
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paras, for taking off the time by explaining us some vital concepts of building a great value proposition, and most importantly, inspiring lakhs of students who are going to read this case, listen to you, and be inspired to start something. I think the D2C space in India and the world has a fantastic timing now, especially in the food commodity space. And thank you for setting such a great benchmark for a lot of future student entrepreneurs.
Thank you for having me, and all the best for everyone listening in.
Thank you.